Call to order the regular meeting of the Dickinson City Commission for Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. First item this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. First item on the agenda this evening is the order of business. Mr. Dossinger, are there any changes to the order of business?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission. There is no change to the order of business this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any discussion on the order of business as presented? Not, I look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion on the order of business? Hearing none, all in favor of the order of business as presented, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the commissioners wish to discuss? If there's no discussion on the consent agenda, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? There's no further discussion on the consent agenda. We'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll move into administration and finance. And I have a few proclamations to read. First up is Building Safety Month, the proclamation for May 2025. Whereas the City of Dickinson is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential roles our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play, both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officers, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes and standards to protect us in the buildings where we live and learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern building codes and standards include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our communities, largely unknown protectors of public safety, our code officials who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas Game On, the theme for Building Safety Month 2025, encourages us to get involved and raise awareness about building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential services provided to all of us by local, state, tribal, territorial, and federal building safety and fire prevention departments in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, I, Scott Decker, President of the City Commission of the City of Dickinson, North Dakota, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as Building Safety Month. And I would look for a motion to approve this proclamation.
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion to approve the proclamation for Building Safety Month.
Second.
With a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Pass that to the city administrator. Next up, we have the Drinking Water Week proclamation. And this is the Drinking Water Week, May 4th through the 10th, 2025, Mayor's Proclamation. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas water from Southwest Pipeline Project and the Southwest Water Authority delivers public health protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy. And whereas any measure of a prosperous society, low mortality rates, economic growth and diversity, productivity, and safety, and public safety are in some way related to access to safe water. And whereas Southwest Water Authority and the Southwest Pipeline Project play a critical part in consumers' health, hygiene, and hydration, and public awareness of the importance of safe tap water is essential to supporting and sustaining this resource. And whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which future generations depend. And whereas each citizen of our city is called upon to help sustain our water resources by educating themselves about their drinking water, by practicing water conservation, and getting involved in local efforts to protect our source waters from pollution. Now, Now, therefore, be it resolved that by authority vested in me as the mayor of our city, I do hereby proclaim May 4th through the 10th, 2025 as Drinking Water Week. And I look for a motion to approve this proclamation.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve
Second.
with a second. All in favor, state aye.
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 Motion carries. And we have a Public Works Week proclamation. National Public Works Week. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and the well-being of the people of Dickinson. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Dickinson to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I do hereby designate the week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the City of Dickinson and Dickinson Public Works in activities and events designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused this seal to be fixed. I'd look for a motion to approve this proclamation of National Public Works Week.
Mr. President, move to approve.
I have a motion to approve
Second.
with a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move into item D, which is a gaming site authorization. First up, this will be the American Legion, Matthew Brew, post number 3, City Administrator Dossinger.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the commission. We have a gaming site authorization request for the American Legion Matthew Brew Post number 3. This is at the Sanford's Grub and Pub located at 167 14th Street West. This would have an effective date of July 1st of 2025 to June 30th of 2026. This would be for electronic pull tab devices and pull tab dispensing device. City staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on the gaming site authorization for the American Legion Matthew Brew Post number 3? There are no questions. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Excuse me. Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Our next site is the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation at the Paragon Bowl.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have the gaming site authorization request from Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation at Paragon Bowl located at 1125 West Fallard. This would also have the effective date of July 1st of 2025 to June 30th of 26. This would be for pull tab jar, pull tab dispensing device, electronic pull tab device, and 21. City staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation at Paragon Bowl gaming site authorization? Not, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Riddle,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Motion carries. Our last gaming site authorization is the Dunn County Fair Association at Fatfish.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a gaming site authorization request from the Dunn County Fair Association at Fatfish Brewing, located at 1031 West Fallard. Effective date of July 1st of 2025 to June 30th of 2026. This would be for bingo, raffles, pull tab dispensing device, electronic pull tab device, prize board, sports pool, 21, poker, and Calcuttas. City staff has reviewed the request and recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on the Dunn City Fair Association at Fatfish gaming site? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Moving into the Dickinson City Commission committee assignments with the resignation of Commissioner Oderman. We have a couple of these sites or the commission assignments that I wish to reassign. I'm going to just let the commissioners know that it'll be a complete reassignment next June. I'm going to try to move everybody around. Right now, I'm going to assign Commissioner Frederick to the library board. I am looking for I guess it's gonna come down to, well, if Commissioner Frederick or Dr. Bear, we do need a second representative on the planning and zoning for the county. So I don't know, would you want to step up and do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll do it.
so Commissioner Bear said he'll step up and do that.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bear, right now, you're running with the youth, and I think we're gonna look at providing some city staff assistance to help you with that. So rather than assign somebody until the newest commissioner
Okay,
comes aboard, so you'll kind of have to go solo on that.
that's fine.
Okay. And then the job development member, that I guess I'll be looking for volunteers. That only meets 3 times a year. And then also public safety only meets quarterly. And I think right now Dr. Bear, on the public safety, you feel you need another person till we get a new commissioner?
On public safety?
Yeah,
Oh,
be able to handle that solo?
yeah, I can do
Okay.
it solo.
And then the job development member, I'll cover down on that until we get a new commissioner. And government relations, that meets the third Thursday of every month. So I guess I'd be looking for I generally show up there, so I don't know if we need a second there. I think I can handle it until we get a new commissioner, so, by myself. So that should be it. Rita, you need any clarification on the assignments? Okay.
Someone going to be on CDB or?
Let's see, what do we got on there right now? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was just Alderman.
You just got off that, right?
I was on before him, so it's been 2 years, 4 years maybe.
4 years.
I mean, I can fill in temporarily if you want.
Okay. If you want to fill in temporarily until the new commissioner comes on.
Sure.
for the CVB. Okay. Well, like I said, next September, next June, I'll look at reassigning everybody. I kind of want to, like I said, in the past, I'll try to move all the commissioners around so they get a good feel of what's happening all over the city. So, and then, yeah, we'll look at that next June, reassigning a lot of this. So, okay, I think we have clarification for all the positions that Mr. Oderman was covering. We'll move into the special election. Mr. Dossinger.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the commission. As you know, the City of Dickinson announced on April 16th that Commissioner John Oderman had officially resigned from the City Commission due to accepting a new professional opportunity. Pursuant to North Dakota Century Code, the public may initiate the process for a special election upon petition of 5% of the qualified electors as determined by the total number of votes cast in the city in the last city general election. The commission shall call a special election to fill a vacancy occurring more than 6 months prior to the next city election, provided such petition has been submitted within the 15 days of the date of such vacancy. The total number of qualified electors in the 2024 primary election were 2,899. Thus, 144 signatures were needed by the deadline. There was a total of 304 signatures submitted, which will initiate a process for a special election. This evening, I'm looking for a motion from the City Commission to call for a special election on Monday, August 18th. That date was determined in working with North Dakota Century Code, the calendar, and the requirements for publication in our local Dickinson Press. That is the date that we would like the commission to approve.
And Mr. Dossinger, we will be running this election by ourselves again?
That is correct.
Any questions before I look for a motion? Not, I'd look for a motion to declare the special election on Monday, August 18th.
Mr.
I
President.
move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bear with a second by Commissioner Riddle. Motion to declare a special election on Monday, August 18th. We, I guess for further information, there will be dates set out by the city staff.
We'll get to that.
Okay, you're going to get that? Okay, so we'll go to the motion first. Does this need to be a resolution? No, just a motion's fine? Okay. So, any further discussion on, before I take a vote? Not, we'll go ahead and vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. So, Mr. Dossinger?
Thank you, Mr. President. Now that that has been approved by the commission, it triggers key dates. Obviously, today's May 6th, in which a special election, we call for the special election at this commission meeting. The next important date is May 14th, in which a publication of the special election, setting the election date as August 18th, will be published. The next important date will be May 16th. That will be the start date for candidates to begin circulation of petitions. The required amount of qualified signatures is 247 to be on the ballot. Next important date is June 15th. That is a Sunday. Candidate petitions will be due by 4 o'clock in Mountain Time in City Hall. City Hall will be open from 2 to 4 p.m. that day in case there are some late petition packets that want to come in. Just to emphasize, that is a Sunday, and City Hall will be open from 2 to 4 that day to receive those packets if there's any late submittals on that. On July 9th, that's when the absentee ballots will be available for voting. July 10th, that would be the earliest date that candidates can file campaign disclosure statements. And on July 18th, that is the deadline for candidates to file their campaign disclosure statements. So those are the key dates that will also be published on our City of Dickinson website this weekend as well.
Any questions, commissioners? Thank you so much for that update. I hope anyone wishing to run in the special election will please come in and get your petition and begin collecting signatures. So you may have them in by the 15th of June. So we'll move into public safety. The first item this evening is Fire's quarterly report. This will be presented by Deputy Fire Chief Selly. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. Mark Selly, Deputy Fire Chief, just here to give you the quarterly report for the fire department for first quarter. Just a quick overview of the services we provide and what this report will reflect. So we had 675 calls for service in the first quarter. It's about a 13% increase from 2024. There's a breakdown by month. You can kind of see how things have been trending for us all the way back to 2022. Breakdown by call types, we got 72% being EMS, 20% false alarms and good intent calls, 4% fires, and 4% hazardous materials, hazardous calls. Calls by apparatus, a little breakdown here. As you can see, majority of our calls are taken by the QRU and evenly distributed between the ladder and engine, and a few other calls taken by other apparatus. Breakdown calls by station, pretty even this quarter, almost a 50-50 split between Station 1 and Station 2. And you can see that on our heat map shown here. Our calls are pretty well spread out, keeping our staff quite busy. Response times by station, you can see we're just a little bit above our goal of 5 minutes and 20 seconds for response times. Getting pretty close to those times at 5 minutes and 45 seconds for Station 1 and 5:31 for an average for Station 2. Training hours have been doing pretty well. We're about right in mark where we should be for company training and facility training. Our officer hazmat and EMS training we're well above. Been doing a lot of training and getting that stuff taken care of. So we're right on the mark where we should be for completing our training. Fire prevention activities, 191 routine inspections, 86 prevention activities with 8 certificate of occupancies that were, or occupancy inspections that were completed. With that, I would take any questions.
Excuse me. Thank you, Deputy Fire Chief Selly. Any questions for the fire department? None. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move into community development. The first item this evening, this will be presented by Code Enforcement Officer Stewart, is a condemnation hearing date.
Good evening, Commissioners. Code Enforcement Officer 2, Tiffany Stewart here. I am here to request to set a hearing date for 2 properties that we're looking to move forward with demolition. The first property is 219 5th Street East. This property was labeled unfit for human occupancy as well as a dangerous building in March of 2024. There has been no potable water at the property since 2018. An interior inspection was completed in 2024. We do have outstanding code violations at the property in relation to junk and abandoned inoperable vehicles. Based on the lack of utilities, the dilapidation, the outstanding code violations, and the unsafe living conditions, we do recommend the structures be demolished. The second property is 22 South 10th Avenue West. This property was labeled dangerous in 2021. An interior inspection was completed in 2024. Upon that inspection, we did note interior and exterior dilapidation. There is no potable water at the property, and the property has been abandoned for a period exceeding 6 months. Based on those facts, we do recommend the structures be demolished. With that, I will turn it over to Attorney Wanko to give you some suggestions for dates for these hearings.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Commissioners, we are looking at setting 2 separate dates for these particular hearings. The reason being is that the property located at 219 5th Street East, we are going to do some publications of those hearing notices. We have an individual, a property owner that's had some difficulties being located, so we want to make sure we exhaust all of our due diligence in getting them on notice. So with that being said, for this particular property for 22 South 10th Avenue West, I'm looking at dates, hopefully working with your schedules, the last week of May. Obviously, we do have that holiday on the 26th, but I would be looking at anything 27, 28, 29 to see what you may have available. And then for the second property at 219 5th Street East, we're looking there at the second or third week of June to preferably the week of the 14th to accommodate or the 16th, excuse me, to accommodate Ms. Stewart being gone and out of the office. So I'm open to what all of you have available.
What are the 27th and 28th looking for your guys' calendars? What time? Preference?
28th I have open.
Mr. Frederick?
I was just looking here. 27th or 28th is fine.
28th is open, so 28th.
28.
We'll look at the 28th then. Preference? Morning? Preference?
I would say we could, I don't envision it going more than 4 hours, but if we did it in the morning, I would say we'd start at 9. If we did it in the afternoon, I would say we'd start at 1.
Nine.
Preference?
Yeah, 9's
Nine?
fine.
9 a.m.?
9 o'clock.
And then looking at the week of June 16th.
We have a commission meeting on the 17th, so
We could do it that morning, if you'd like. I don't envision that one would be contested, but there is always a possibility.
morning
Yeah.
of the 17th?
9 a.m.?
9 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay, that works.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Next is introduction of the construction project manager. That'll be it'll be introduced by Engineer and Community Development Director Skolacek.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. My pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Greg Melchior. Recently came on with the City of Dickinson as the construction project manager. I'll turn it over to Greg.
Good evening, Commissioners. A little bit about myself. Born and raised here in Dickinson. Back in '95, I used to work for the city for about 13 years for Water and Sewer Department. Then I kind of when it was getting busy again, I started my own excavating company. And I've been doing that till now. And I'm glad to be back. It's kind of...
Glad to have you back. Welcome aboard.
Welcome back, Greg.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next up, we have, Mr. Sklacek, we have a master service agreement extension for KLJ.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is an extension to the master service agreement that's in place with KLJ Engineering LLC. In this case, we found that the master service agreement was out of date, and so our recommendation to the Commission is to just extend this to December 31st, 2025. And then at that time, once the construction season is concluded, then ultimately we'd update the master service agreement to the new form and bring that forth at that time. So with that, engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklacek. Any questions on this KLJ master service agreement? Not, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Sklacek, you have a 2025 road maintenance project contract amendment to KLJ.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a task order amendment with KLJ Engineering LLC to perform construction engineering services for the 2025 road maintenance project for an hourly not to exceed amount as specified in this contract of $580,000. City Attorney has reviewed the task order amendment and has no comments. Project construction scope of work is to be paid using gross production tax, and the scope of work key tasks are as follows: mark the concrete for the special improvement district for repairs and replacement, 2 full-time resident project representative during the construction, contract administration, field survey for the as-built documentation and maps, and final special assessment calculations and letters. With that, city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklacek. Any questions on this road maintenance agreement? If there are none, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Next up, we have a rezone request. This will be presented by City Planner Burchak.
Good evening, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So the applicant is requesting approval of a zoning map amendment from unzoned and community commercial to public for part of Block 4 of the New Haven Second Edition subdivision located within the city of Dickinson. The purpose of this rezoning is to allow the Park District to utilize the space for plantings and to establish a community orchard. This is the final reading of this rezone. It previously had its public hearing on the April 15th City Commission meeting. And I'm here to answer any final questions that you might have, and staff recommends approval of this rezone.
Thank you, Ms. Burchak. Any questions on ordinance number 1817? Not, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Riddle,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Our 2025 road maintenance project material testing contract with Brown Intertech will be presented by Senior Engineer Keller.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, for your consideration is a contract amendment with Braun Intertech to provide material testing for the 2025 road maintenance project. The contract includes testing for soils, concrete, and paving-related services, as well as project consulting and reporting. The testing is necessary to ensure the project is in compliance with design specifications, applicable ASTM, and industry standards. This contract amendment will be for $105,590 on a time and material basis, and will be funded through the same means as the road maintenance project. The attorney has reviewed the contract, and city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Any questions on the material testing contract with Brown Intertech? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Keller, you have the 2025 water main replacement project material testing contract with Brown Intertech.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, for your consideration is a contract amendment with Braun Intertech to provide material testing for the 2025 water main replacement project. Includes soils, concrete, and pavement testing for the same reasons as previous project, to make sure that the project is in design compliance and meets ASTM and industry standards. This amendment is for $81,470 on a T&M basis, and will be funded through the Department of Water Resources cost share agreement, SRF loans, and gross production tax. The city attorney has reviewed this contract, and engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Any questions on the water replacement project material testing contract? If there are none, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Riddle.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Keller, you have the Sims to 2nd Street East, 9th Street East project material testing contract with Brown Intertech.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, for your consideration is a contract amendment with Braun Intertech for the Sims 2nd Street East to 9th Street East project, including soils, concrete, and paving testing. This amendment is for $76,006 on a time and material basis, and this work will be funded through the Department of Water Resources cost share, SRF loans, and gross production tax. The city attorney has reviewed this contract amendment, and the city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Any questions on the Sims Street to 9th Street, Sims Avenue to 9th Street project? If there are no questions, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Riddle.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Keller, we're keeping you busy tonight. Mans Dam contract amendment with Bar Engineering.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I promise you this is different than the previous three. But for your consideration is a contract amendment with Barr Engineering to complete a feasibility study for addressing the safety issues with Mans Dam. Feasibility study is required for Mans Dam modifications per the North Dakota Department of Water Resources, dam safety standards, and other various federal requirements. We previously had a Department of Water Resources cost share agreement, and that was for 75% of the cost to complete the study up to $77,592, where the city's share will be $25,864 for a project total of $103,465. The revenue for this project is included in the 2025 capital improvement plan and funded through the gross production tax. The anticipated completion date for this portion of the project is January 2026. The amendment has been reviewed by the city attorney, and city engineering staff does recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Any questions on the Mans Dam project? There are no questions. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Keller, you have the Queen City Dam EAP and RA contract amendment.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, for your consideration is a contract amendment with Barr Engineering to complete an emergency action plan and risk assessment on the Queen City Dam per the North Dakota Department of Water Resources dam safety standards. The city currently has an agreement with the North Dakota Department of Water Resources to reimburse the city for 80% of the cost to complete the emergency action plan, up to $999,992, where the city's share will be $26,028. Additionally, the city has an active agreement with the North Dakota DWR to reimburse the city for 60% of the cost of the risk assessment, up to $21,738, where the city's share will be $14,492. Add all those up, the contract for Barr Engineering is $162,250. Pardon me. The revenue for this project is included in the 2025 CIP and funded through the gross production tax. Anticipated completion date for this project is December of this year. The agreement has been reviewed by the city attorney, and the engineering department recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Any questions for Mr. Keller or staff on the Queen City Dam EAP and RA contract? There are none. I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Nope. I mean, aye, sorry.
Woke us all up. Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have a 2025 water main project contract amendment to Apex Engineering. Mr. Skolacek?
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a task order amendment with Apex Engineering Group Incorporated to perform construction engineering services for the 2025 water main replacement project for an hourly not-to-exceed amount as specified in the contract, which is $567,800. City attorney has reviewed the task order amendment and has no comments. The project was approved with the 2025 capital improvement project budget. The work is to be paid through gross production tax, the state revolving fund drinking water loan, Department of Water Resources, State Water Commission grant, and then ultimately the concrete replacements with the Special Improvement District. Included in the scope of work are the following tasks: project management, full-time resident project representative during construction, contract administration, field survey for the as-built documents and maps, State Water Commission grant fund applications, state revolving fund loan fund applications and final special assessment calculations and letters. The city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklochek. Any questions on the 2025 water main contract amendment with Apex? There are none. I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
With part of an SID, I gotta say no.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We have the 2025 water main replacement project, DWR cost share contract. Mr. Sklochek.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a grant contract with the North Dakota State Water Commission to fund a portion of the engineering and construction services at a cost share percentage of 60%, which is not to exceed $1,918,834 as specified in the state contract. The project was approved with the 2025 capital improvement project budget and paid through gross production tax, state revolving fund, drinking water loan, special improvement district, and ultimately this grant. Previously, Beck Consulting was awarded the construction for the project, and city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklochek. This is the 2025 water main replacement cost share contract. Are there any questions for city staff? If there are no questions, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
No.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We have the Sims 2nd Street East to 9th Street East project, DWR cost share contract. Mr. Sklochek.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a grant contract with the North Dakota State Water Commission to fund a portion of the engineering and construction services cost share of 60%, not to exceed $959,736 as specified in the contract. Project was approved with the 2025 capital improvement project budget and is to be paid for by gross production tax, state revolving fund, drinking water, and clean water loans. Apex Engineering has previously been awarded the engineering for the project, and Beck Consulting was previously awarded the construction contract for the project. City engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklochek. Any questions on the Sims 9th to 2nd DWR cost share contract?
Mr. President, move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Sklochek, we have an I-94 speed reduction area letter of support.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a letter of support for the North Dakota Department of Transportation for a speed reduction of Interstate 94 through the city of Dickinson as shown on the attached map. Current speed limit is 75 miles per hour, and ultimately from the points identified on the map, it would reduce that speed limit to 70 miles per hour. The speed reduction is conjunction with House Bill 1298, Speed reduction will maintain a consistent and reasonable speed limit through the city of Dickinson to support safe traffic operations for residents and travelers. City engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchek. Any questions for city staff?
Didn't we petition for this like a year ago? And they told us no?
So the background associated with House Bill 1298 to increase the speed limit to 80. By doing that, there's a number of areas throughout the state, either sight distance or the actual horizontal or vertical curvature doesn't accommodate that speed limit. In the case of Dickinson in particular, that's not necessarily a concern, but there's a series of areas throughout the state where it is a concern, and therefore they want consistency to the speed reductions going through the cities so that you're not going through one community and reducing the speed and then ultimately getting to another one, not reducing your speed, and then getting to another community, and then you feel like you shouldn't have to. And so, so the consistency attribute is what the DOT is going for. So, in particular, through the Badlands near the Medora area, there's a significant period of time where that'll be reduced to 70 due to the stopping sight distance and some of the horizontal and vertical curvature of the roadway through that area.
Makes sense.
Are there any other questions for city staff?
Mr. Sklatchek, do you eventually ever see this being forced upon us to where we have to drop, other than just consistency?
Are you saying further speed reduction?
Just in the future. No, just in the future. If it would stay the same, do you anticipate it will happen eventually through legislation?
They're working on it right now with House Bill 1298. It was a little bit of a unique bill because it got passed, then or denied, then brought back. And so ultimately, working with North Dakota DOT District Engineer Rob Rayhorn, the discussion was that the DOT would like the letter of support. Specific for any future reductions, it would have to be where we have a significant amount of traffic. That's normally what you see is the weaving attributes. So they get on one interchange and then get off of another, still within city limits. That weaving in and out of lanes typically constitutes a natural slowdown in traffic. That would be, in the case of Bismarck, for example, that's why they have the reduction that they do.
Yep. So going down to 70 versus leaving it at 75, what's the reason behind that?
The feedback that I received was, one, again, for consistency, but then also you want to make sure that there's some amount of reasonable change. From 80 to 70 is a reasonable amount of change, whereas 80 to 75 is fairly insignificant, and it'll probably just lead to people just speeding.
So the way it is now.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Not, I'd look for a motion to provide this letter of support to the DOT.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
No.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Sklatchek, we have the Dickinson High Water Main Extension Project.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a grant contract with the North Dakota State Water Commission to fund a portion of the engineering and construction services on a cost share of 60%, not to exceed $236,691 as specified in the contract. Key attributes for this project are to loop the new water main from Fairway Street up to Empire, as shown on the plans. This will accommodate the future needs for the high school expansion that's underway right now. And this is associated then with that development agreement with the Dickinson Public Schools, where the district that was approved at the March 18th, 2025 City Commission meeting. City engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklarchek. Any questions on the Dickinson High School water main extension project? Not, I look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Riddle,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. And Mr. Sklarchek, we have the sanitary sewer service voluntary special assessment resolution.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a resolution for the 2025 Sanitary Sewer Service Special Improvement District. This resolution is to create a sanitary sewer service special improvement district within the city limits of City of Dickinson, authorizing the improvements and assessments as a voluntary basis option only for all citizens. This special improvement district is payable over a 5-year period at an interest rate of 3.7%, which is the interest rate that we've previously set for other special improvement districts. Special assessments paid in full by October 1st, 2026 will not be charged interest or any penalty. This will be a mechanism to allow cities to make, citizens to make improvements to their sanitary sewer services through a voluntary special assessment process and have the cost therefore assessed as a special assessment against the improved parcel. And this would be upon the completion of the City of Dickinson requirements. This resolution will create the legal authority for the city to assess those costs for the sanitary sewer services to the property pursuant to North Dakota Century Code Section 40-31 and the City of Dickinson Municipal Code, Chapter 48. This is all properties within the corporate limits of the City of Dickinson. And again, I stress this is voluntary. No property owner will be required to participate within this district. And these improvements to sanitary sewer services as provided in this resolution will be limited to only developed properties. Property owners engaging in new construction activities will not be eligible for participation in this special improvement district. The anticipation of this would just be for 2025's construction season. City engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklarchek. Any questions on the sanitary sewer service voluntary special assessment? This would be resolution 15-2025.
Would the homeowner or whoever hire their own contractor? How does it exactly work? Just curious.
So in that case, they would have to have a utility permit with the city. We'd know contractor's licensed and bonded and everything else. They'd ultimately provide the invoice for that work. Upon review by engineering and public works staff, then ultimately we would work to pay that invoice, put it on their special assessment. So the main thing that we saw during the 2024 construction season, I believe there was 2 property owners, both associated with the 2024 water main replacement project, where they wanted their sanitary sewer services replaced. It was I'll say a bit of a scramble for us to get resolutions ahead of the city commission meeting. At times we had trenches open, but we just wanted to leave that open while the contractor was working. So the intent is to have a proactive measure to resolve this. We actually, I don't believe we've had citizens request using a private contractor, but it may open up that opportunity. So
I was just curious, yeah, if they could have the option. So this is more if we're doing something on their street and they can opt in. But
we would anticipate probably that to be the most frequent. Like I say, I'm not aware of anybody else asking for this outside of projects that we're working on. So,
Gotcha.
but it could be eligible.
Right. Any other questions for city staff on resolution 15-2025? There are none. I look for a motion.
move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Barrett?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. And that takes care of our regular agenda. We had no public hearings this evening, so we'll move to public comment sign up. The first on the list this evening was Mr. Bedoin. And his topic is police procedure and policies.
Good evening, Commissioners. When I first started coming to the County Commission, I was concerned about how the interplay is with the city and the people. This last week, last month, I was invited down to the police station and had a chance to talk to an officer. And basically what I got out of it, that an officer has his policies and procedures that he follows, like a rote. And I realized that, if you're looking for truth, you're not going to find it in policies. You can have a shop owner that has policies, but it kind of curtails to what they're thinking. My thinking is that we're going into a very critical time. And we need the cooperation of the police department in a sense how they relate to people. Let's say, for example, if somebody is flagged, officers arrive to a situation, this man has a flag on him. Right away, there's a judgment that takes place on this individual. In my day, we call that putting a label on somebody, kind of restricting this man's character as being unlawful. Also, my thinking is that how the police department handles people. I know the department practices how to arrest somebody and how to apply force, but also how to communicate, how to get the public to stand with the police department. And I guess that's what I'm saying. So if you have infractions, if you're judging somebody that has a flag or something like that, you're making a hostile situation. You're turning somebody who could be a law-abiding citizen into somebody that really has a grudge against the police department. Recently, a man was arrested like 3 weeks ago on a Tuesday, and for saying things on the internet, on Facebook. The judge signed a warrant for it. He had an appearance to go to court on the next Thursday, so he was held for 1 week, and in that appearance, the charges that were against him were dropped. Then he's held another till the next Thursday, and then he's released. So I'm thinking if you have a judge that puts a warrant on somebody, you must have some kind of probable cause or some kind of injustice. And it's things like that that make people angry towards the system. I know in California you'll have the sheriff's department that will transfer jailers from one jail to the next jail, and it's a moneymaker that makes people. And for me, I really don't know why this man was incarcerated, 10 days, and then released without free to go. So again, I want to express that we're going into changing times, we're going into critical times, and the people need to, well, put it this way, the officers need to protect and to serve the public. But the public, on the other hand, has a responsibility to protect and serve the families of the police officers. in the critical time, I think that's very important to have these two distinctions brought together. And so if you have infractions, if you have people, officers labeling other people, you have displacement of character. Think about coming home to your family. If you're something angry about something and talking to your kids, that's going to impart it to your kids. Well, if an officer is having a bad day, comes up to somebody and then charges them or tells them, go sit in your car, then, that built up a hostility between the officer and the person. So I know this may not sound like much, but we need to work at it. We need to work bringing the citizens of Dickinson in not a commitment, but in a flow to secure this town. A lot of the Dickinson people know what's going on, probably more than the police department. So if you have the people in Dickinson conforming to the police department, you would have a better city. So I hope I can make a dent in what I'm trying to say. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next public comment sign-up form is Mr. Ryan Masano, and he will speak to events at last month's meeting.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be back again. When I first began speaking up here back in November, I think I was polite, I was courteous, I didn't directly attack anybody, I deliberately avoided offensive language, I used no language forbidden by the First Amendment. I didn't come up here to attack people. I came up here to expose what the problems are in an international conspiracy that affects every single city, state, and nation on this earth. Now, people may disagree with my assessment, and that's perfectly fine, but I didn't come up here to dialogue with people who disagree with me. I came to lay out the facts and let people make their own decisions for themselves. So it was with extreme disappointment that I witnessed that my attempts to simply lay out truths that I saw, and I have 500 books on my website to verify exactly what I've been saying, which it doesn't appear that many people who disagree with me have ever taken a look at, that I am taken out by the police a month ago. Now, as a result of these actions, I did warn, and I'm glad Mr. Riddle and Mr. Baer actually voted against the speech memo, and I would ask that it be dismissed still because it is unconstitutional. But I warned, I said there's going to be arrests and there will be there will be lawsuits as a result of this speech. It's a direct attack on the First Amendment. It's also an attack on the North Dakota Century Code. Both of those were violated in that meeting. So what happened was a criminal occurrence. So now what has happened is now there have been criminal complaints filed against 3 police officers because of the mayor's actions, which I regret. And also on top of that, there's now going to be a $10 million civil lawsuit filed for infringement of civil rights, which you did, Mayor. So I tried to be nice, I tried to be gracious, I tried to cooperate as much as was within my power. I did not want to make enemies. All I wanted to do was express the truth, and I wanted to address the people who are behind this, which I don't believe you are. But if you stand in the way of the people being exposed as being evil, you yourself are now going to come under fire. And so, I'm reluctant to have to take a lot of these actions, but the First Amendment was given to us so that we can expose a lot of these things and make sure that they were put out in the open for everybody to see. For those who don't know, the Dickinson Press is controlled. Your Facebook, your social media, it's all controlled. Your radio, your newspaper, it's all controlled. Those who rule this city, because the people who rule this city are not here right now. They're not in this room. In every city, that's not how they operate. They control the media, and by controlling the media, they control the minds, which influences people to elect the people that they want into positions of power. That's how it operates. As men, I think our duty is to pursue the truth. The first focus is not the city. The priority should be God, your nation, your family, your church, and your job. God comes first, and that means truth. If truth is not your highest priority as a man, then something's wrong. This nation, this state was founded by men who valued truth above all else, and they were willing to give their lives for it. So, you know, this is something that's unusual because there's 19,500 American cities. Every single one of them should have what I'm saying being said in them, and it eventually, hopefully, will. But since this happens to be one of the first, there's less than 10 cities in America that this is happening at. It is understandable that people don't like what's being said. But, you know, I'm hoping that we can return to the 15 minutes. Mr. Riddle was absolutely correct. Some of these ideas, they take some time to develop and get out there. So, you know, I got a lot of other things that are pretty critical, but I'm going to withhold most of the criticism because I didn't really want to involve the courts, but unfortunately I've been forced. You know, what else am I supposed to do when I come under attack and I have police officers lead me out of a meeting, which is a gross violation of my First Amendment rights? As a military veteran and a U.S. citizen, that should never be happening to anybody, ever. If I saw it happen to somebody else, I would have, I would be offended by that. And the fact that, you know, we have attorneys that don't realize what the First Amendment means and how to uphold it and are busy attacking it instead. You know, I don't understand how someone still has a job as an attorney with such a gross ignorance of the First Amendment. So anyways, you know, I'd like to end with an encouragement to, again, lift that. If that speech memo is lifted, I will not file that lawsuit. You could save your city considerable money because that's what it is. It's an attack on the First Amendment, and it's going to be addressed in court. We can avert that if you just merely do what you should have done to begin with, and you and Mr. Frederick and whoever, you know, takes over, go ahead and vote that memo down, and then there will be no problems, and we'll just go back to November and respond without these emotional explosions and have the speech laid out that should have been being listened to from the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner comments? I guess I had something that I had in mind, but from earlier, but I can't. It escapes me right now, so I will bring it up at our next meeting. So if there's anything else, commissioners? All right, I look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.